We see this all the time. We see companies are spending millions and millions and millions of dollars a month, and we go to them and we're like, oh, you didn't look at your analytics here, here, and here. We should adjust this. And like, we got over a 60% increase in ROI and still spending the same amount of money.
I was reading your blog, when I was, I think, like 16 years old. I've been following you for, better part of 15 years now or so. I'm curious, in 2023, what do you think it takes to build remarkable content, grow an audience, and really stand out, given just the pace at which the attention economy is growing? The creator economy now is blowing up, and there's more and more people coming online to building organic content. I was kind of shocked over the weekend. We were both at this event, and it must have been 98% of people, it seemed, the core part of their business growth was all ads. And I couldn't help but think just how risky that is, just to be completely addicted to the ad growth side of things when, when you're building content and you're putting it out there, you're truly building your own personal media empire around your personal brand and your business. I'm curious how you think about building organic content and standing out in 2023.
Yeah, so I look at that as the same way as Google does, EEAT, also known as E. Experience, expertise, authority, and trust. Everyone can create content. You can use ChatGPT to create content. You can use the Uber Says AI writer to create content. If everyone's using the same AI tools to create content, whether it's for social or text-based, how are you going to stand out? Everyone's going to look like, where's Waldo? Remember that game from back in the day where like you would try to find Waldo because he would stand out wearing that striped red and white striped shirt? But these days, everyone looks like Waldo, and you got to find the people that look like you and me, which is really hard to do because everyone is just using the same tools and the same technology to create their content. So if you can create content that showcases your experience, or your expertise, or your authority and trust, you can end up bringing a whole new perspective to a topic. You're going to stand out, and that's how you're going to build a community. That's how you're going to do well in the long run. But that's super hard to do for most people because they're not willing to just take out their phone and start recording. They're stuck in the ways of what's the fastest way to create content? What's the most automated way? It's not actually hard from a mental standpoint. It's hard from it just takes time. Bust out your phone, start talking, break down stuff that only you would know or very few people would know because of something that you experienced or you've done in your current life, while other people couldn't do this if they used AI to create content.
So are there any examples online, of different brands you're seeing or different people online that you're like, damn, that person's on like the bleeding edge of, where, online branding, audience growth, and like original content are kind of going?
For a personal side, there's a guy named Alex Hermosi, which is worth checking out. He's been doing some really cool stuff. There's another person named Cody Sanchez. She's been doing a really good job as well.
For sure. And in terms of, when you kind of look back on, your career, when you were younger, maybe getting going at like 20, 21, 22, what would you have told like your younger self, like getting started of, maybe some key mistakes? We've all been there, a bad partnership or a co-founder issue or whatever it may be, right? I know I certainly have had a host of mistakes that I would love to go back and change. Curious how you think about that.
Focus. That was the biggest mistake I made. Tried doing too many things at once, always trying to find the new shiny object to make money from, instead of just focusing on the business, focusing on what I'm good at and just executing on that and everything else being a distraction. That's what I really wish I did long time ago, and I didn't. It's not too late though. I'm 38 now, so I can focus now, and which I have been doing over the last 5 years. The other big mistake is picking too small of a TAM. My first few companies were like niche businesses, and I was like, oh, the riches are in the niches. Like, that's so true. That's so false. It's like the opposite of being true. The riches are in big, massive markets, and I wish I knew that. I think there was a quote from like one of the Google founders, and I'm paraphrasing it here. It's something like, if you can create something that people have to use each and every single day, you're onto like something big. And I'm paraphrasing here, and I'm probably butchering it, so I apologize to whichever Google founder created that quote. But I look at those two things as probably the reason I'm not much further along in my career.
For sure. I know we both are people that believe, in the power of personal brands. You brought up Alex Hermosi, Cody Sanchez. you've utilized your personal brand over the years as well to help you build multiple brands and successful businesses to the tune of, you were talking about $10 million even you've helped bring in to your existing business through the personal brand. Like, how do you think about leveraging, your personal brand, the content around it to drive business?
I think it's a great strategy. I don't know why more people don't do it. Kylie Jenner has done a great job. Rihanna has done a great job. There's more social content, but you can do it with blog content. I did it. Backlinko did it. His name is Brian Dean of backlinko.com. He eventually sold to SEMrush. The possibilities are endless. Larry Kim ended up building a site called WordStream and blogged and built up his brand, and he sold the company. I forgot the amount. It was public, maybe somewhere around $100 million. You can make a lot of money through personal branding, and people take it for granted. They think you can only do it in B2C. Works well in B2B and B2C. Again, you just need to go after a big market. Doing it in a small niche doesn't do that well.
And in terms of, I know a big value of yours, you talked about, wanting to challenge yourself, continually learn, continually grow. I'm of the mindset as well. Like, if you're not learning, you're dying. It's important to kind of constantly be challenging yourself, finding new experiences, new people, new books that just, kind of bring you onto new ways of thinking, and surrounding yourself with people also that are challenging you. I'm curious, based on kind of where you're at, any books that have helped you or any key learnings you've gotten over the last kind of 6 months that really transformed your way of thinking? And what do you feel like in terms of over the next year is like the next challenge, the next big like learning opportunity that you're really leaning into?
Yeah, so no books in the last 6 months that's changed the way I thought. There's a lot of good books out there, from like Art of the Start by Guy Kawasaki, The Dip by Seth Godin, Principles by Ray Dalio. Those are all books that people should check out. For me, what I like doing is I like learning by just being on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Research any topic that you're interested in, whether it's mindset, meditation, whether it's a new business idea or learning about an industry or just learning about history. You can find all this stuff online, digest it super quick, and you can keep moving onto the next topic that you're interested in learning about. And if you find something that intrigues you, double down on it. But that's what I would say, in which people can learn a lot just from the web, just from social. You can literally find almost anything on YouTube and learn there. You don't need to go to college. If you want to be a doctor, I understand some professions is required, but just go on YouTube and learn.
And what do you think is kind of one of the bigger sort of hidden opportunities right now, 2023 moving to 2024, from a sort of marketing, audience growth, content standpoint?
Sure. So one of the big hidden opportunities, and this will answer also part of your last question, because I believe you also asked, what am I trying to learn over the next 6 months? For me, I'm trying to learn quite a bit about AI. And I think that's where also a lot of the opportunities is going to be in the future. I'm not talking about AI like Terminator, the movie style. I'm talking about AI in which, how can you automate a lot of systems and processes and make the world just a much more efficient place? And AI should help a lot of businesses do that. And as humans, if we push away AI, I believe what's going to happen is you're going to get replaced. But if you embrace it, you'll be more in demand, because companies will be looking for people who understand how to use AI and how to integrate it within their systems and processes.
And based on your research there so far, I know, we're beyond the stage of just, prompting ChatGPT. That's kind of what you're seeing online. Everyone talking about that kind of more rudimentary stuff. But, now we have the invention of things like AutoGPT, one of the most viral projects right now on GitHub. I'm curious, where do you kind of see it affecting some of your businesses? Are there specific systems that you see it kind of taking to the next level and helping automate and make it easier first?
Yeah, like analytics is a great example. Imagine, or let's go back. How many companies spend billions of dollars a year or hundreds of millions on advertising? A lot. Just look at Google's market cap, Facebook's market cap. Imagine, instead of people analyzing analytics once a week or once a month and try to draw insights and figure out what to change, imagine if in real time AI was helping flag where there's waste and where things are going really well, and sends it to a human, and then you can click some buttons and then reallocate money. There'd be a much better ROI in a lot of marketing campaigns. We see this all the time. We see companies are spending millions and millions and millions of dollars a month, and we go to them and we're like, oh, you didn't look at your analytics here, here, and here. We should adjust this. And like, wow, we got over a 60% increase in ROI and still spending the same amount of money. Well, that's great, but you went 2 years without that. Imagine how much money was wasted over the last 2 years.
Right. So yeah, that analytics side of things, yeah, is one big opportunity. Is there anything else you see it kind of disrupting in your sphere or in the marketing space that, you're paying close attention to?
Creative. So in advertising, creatives is one of the biggest pieces of leverage. AI can help you crank out 1,000 versions of creative, and you can end up seeing what's converting better, and then you can go in there and fine tune the ones that work the best manually. That's going to be a huge disruption. Another one is going to be systems and processes. There's a lot of mundane tasks that people are doing, like exporting, crunching numbers, and creating reports. A lot of that could be done with AI. In SEO, you're going to see AI do a lot of the on-page changes over time, because AI can even start creating code, right? Why can't it just go and fix the issues, and then you just double check as a human and then upload the changes?
Yeah. No, I've been playing around a lot with Mid-Journey and feeding it different prompts, playing around with different things, whether it's for social or thumbnails and things like different graphics for my blog. And it's crazy just to see the potential of where it's at, and to think that, it's really compounding at an insane rate as well. It'd be, crazy to see, how on not just the system side, the process side, but also on the creative end of things, how disruptive this new technology is going to be. I'm curious, is like, you're kind of like, you work with tons of founders. You've been a founder now for 20 years. What are some of like the most common mistakes that you're seeing people make these days when it comes to looking to grow their brand, grow their audience online?
The big mistake is them not using all the channels. They're like, oh, I love TikTok, I love Instagram. Use all the channels. Don't be relying on one. The second one is they're not consistent enough. They'll post content, they'll get some traction, they'll post some more, they don't get the traction they're looking for the next week, and they just stop being consistent. It really is about being consistent. The third thing is looking at their analytics, seeing what's hitting for you and your competition, learning from it to give you ideas on what you should be doing to build up an audience. The fourth one is responding to your community and building one. A lot of people have comments and they're getting engagement from social, but what they're not doing is they're not responding to people, engaging and building those relationships. I don't understand why. But those are some of the big mistakes that we're seeing people make when it comes to building their brand.
Right. And so when you think about consistency, I think where a lot of founders get caught up is in this kind of content hamster wheel. They're trying to create content for multiple platforms. Oftentimes, they have a good idea maybe of what they want to create, but they're just falling behind. They're trying to make a TikTok one day, long form YouTube the other, and quickly feel like they're just simply drowning in the level of content they need to be making. Based on your experience, what systems do you think are important to have in place, and also the mindset to have in place to get off that content hamster wheel and build a sustainable sort of audience growth system around you?
Gary Vaynerchuk has a content repurposing framework that was online. I'm pretty sure it's still online. Go and follow it. So for example, if you have a long form video, you don't have to create the short form. You can slice and dice the long form and make short forms out of this. Even before this podcast interview, I'm like, hey, send me the recording and we'll plug you and we'll put it online. Why? Because my team can slice and dice, make long form from it. They can make short form from it. They can even transcribe some of the stuff I'm saying and create a blog post from it. I can take some of the things and turn it into mini podcast episodes. It's endless. But I'm taking one longer piece of content and making tons of smaller pieces of content versus creating a long piece of content, then 5 small pieces, and then writing a blog post, and then recording a podcast. You can do it all at once.
Yeah. No, I'm big on that. There's kind of like a content waterfall, and you have, your pillar piece of content could be something like a podcast like this, and being able to kind of, like you said, slice and dice that into your TikToks, your IG Reels, your YouTube Shorts, shorter form YouTube videos, and then, translating that to text as well, whether Twitter, LinkedIn, carousels, et cetera. It's kind of, being efficient and mapping out first things first, that whole kind of content system and waterfall, so that you're getting the most bang for your buck and you're able to get off that content hamster wheel and scale your time and buy it back. I'm curious on the analytics side of things. There's a lot of different tools that I use to kind of find, the most viral content out there from others, whether it's using tools like Twemex on Twitter, Taplio on LinkedIn, and finding kind of what content's really rising on those platforms. Are there any tools that you like to use to kind of find, what competitors are putting out there in your space and what's really popping off in your kind of marketing niche, and then translating that to how you then think about your own content strategy?
So you already mentioned a lot of the good tools out there. The other one I would add is Social Blade. So then you can look at people's follower accounts and see who's growing the fastest. That'll give you an idea of whose content's resonating the most. So not just who's getting views, but who's creating content that's resonating, that's causing people to actually want to follow them, hence building a community. And then follow those people as well and look at their content and learn from it.
Is there some sort of I've used Social Blade, and I'm also oftentimes looking at others and looking at, my own growth day to day. And I'm curious, is there some sort of like leaderboard as well in Social Blade, or something where you can see rising stars, or, you know, people that are
Not that
trending,
I
or you just have to go kind of like one by one and input their information into Social Blade?
one by one input their information. And what I also like doing too is I like looking at answers to the public. 15% of all Google searches have never been searched before. Just think about that for a minute. There's billions of searches. 15% have never been searched before, even though Google's been around 20 plus years. It tells you what's up and coming right now before it's competitive. The other one that I like looking at is Brian Dean had, I'll actually look it up right now. Exploding topics.
Yep.
Exploding topics. Yeah. So that's another one. I'm forgetting the name. I don't know why I was blanking on the name, but it's showing you what's up and coming and what's booming right now. And that's really cool too. These two tools will help you come up with ideas on what to create your content around that people are curious about, but a lot of people aren't necessarily have talked about before.